to go to a location that was called M1, a site that people always return to, constantly trying to see how the oil has changed. September of 1969, there was a barge called the Florida that ran aground and released about 150,000 gallons of diesel fuel. And that made a significant amount of oiling along Buzzards Bay, which is where we live. Some folks called it Silent Autumn because there was so much death and destruction for that all the birds and all the little sounds that would be made in the salt marsh didn't tick. Conventional wisdom by the industry at that time was that this oil would only last 2 weeks. But now we're hit 50 years. How could this still be there? Okay, so here comes the hard part. So 150,000 gallons is a relatively small spill, but you have to remember, it's not the size that matters, it's the location. To help us break the suction just a little, people worry about salt marshes because that material that makes up the marshes is very good chemical sponge. And the other reason why, look how hard it would be for coastal erosion. And these little areas are also feeding grounds and nurseries for small fish. Okay. And so that's why they're so important. And that's why when there's an oil spill, the first thing that folks do is make sure the oil doesn't get hit into salt marshes. And that was a lesson learned right here. And that is a sediment core, which is like a tree ring. The bottom is the oldest material. The top is the most recent. And you can see a little sheen behind us, but that is what we'll sample. When we go back to the lab, it's kind of hard to get the top 2 centimeters, so we'll just call it. And so what we're really basically doing is monitoring how that oil has changed through time. Okay, this is a nautical chart of Buzzards Bay. And over on this side, which is the east side of Buzzards Bay, was the location of the West Falmouth oil spill. Tides and the currents brought the oil up into this little area called Wild Harbor, and deeper and deeper and deeper to where we collected that sediment core right there. That is oil. You can't make this assumption that everything's going to go away. We say, why are these compounds still there? What makes their chemical personality still last? And that's what keeps me up at night. In some respects, we're relying on microbes to eat this oil and make it go away. I think the microbes no longer find this oil palatable. So when I look at this comparison of what's built in 1969 to what's 2018, I see that the oil is still present. I would argue that this oil is here to stay. I think what I would tell mariners is you can't assume that nature is going to clean up all your problems. And this is the example from West Falmouth, and that even a relatively small release in the grand scheme of things can wreak havoc on an ecosystem.